Good morning, students. Now we are going to see a problem which comes under t-test. That means small samples. And we have t-test, chi-square test, and f-test. For large sample, we have z-test only. Now t-test, we have again single means and difference of means, two varieties. Now this problem comes under difference of means. Now the problem is the independent samples from normal populations with equal variance gave the following data. Samples 1 and 2, sizes 16, 12, means 23.4 and 24.9, sample standard deviations 2.5 and 2.8. Now the question is the difference between the means significance. That means the two means or significance are equal or not equal. That means comes under the same population means or not. Now we see the solution. So first we have the data, two sample sizes n1 and n2. So let us take n1 is equal to 16 and n2 is equal to 12. The next mean x bar, y bar, or x1 bar, x2 bar. This is the sample mean. Okay, sample mean x1 bar, and population mean means we have the symbol mu. Now this is sample means, so x1 bar 23.4 and x2 bar second one 24.9. The next is standard deviations. We have again the sample standard deviations. Sample standard deviations 2.5 and 2.8. So x1 s2, small s1 small s2. Now the formula is t is equal to x1 bar minus x2 bar by square root of s square into 1 by n1 plus 1 by n2. So first we have to find s square. S square means variance, square root. Okay, variance. Then s, that means root s square, that means root of variance, it is standard deviation. So now the formula is s square is equal to n1 s1 square, and this is capital and this is small. Okay, n1 s1 square plus n2 s2 square, the whole divided by n1 plus n2 minus 2. So we have all the data n1, n2, s1, s2. So directly substitute and simplify, we get the value of s square. So 16 into s1 value 2.5. So s1 square means 2.5 the whole square, plus s2 value 12, and now n2 is 12, s2 2.8 the whole square, the whole divided by n1 plus n2 minus 2. Now simplify this part, we get the answer 7.4646. 7.4646. Okay, now we have the procedure. That means we have 6 steps. First one, null hypothesis. So we consider null hypothesis means there is no difference between the sample mean as well as the population mean. There is no difference between the two samples means. Now this problem comes under difference of means. So there is null hypothesis means there is no difference between the population means. Population means symbol mu. Okay, sample means symbol x bar, y bar, or x1 bar, x2 bar. Now there is no difference. That means first population mean and second population mean both are equal. So null hypothesis h0 mu1 is equal to mu2. The next alternative hypothesis. That means we are choosing opposite to null hypothesis. That means complement of null hypothesis is complementary of null hypothesis is alternative. So alternative hypothesis h1. Let us denote the symbol null hypothesis h0. That means there is no difference between mu1 and mu2. And alternative hypothesis h1, there is something difference between the two population means or the two sample means. That means mu1 and mu2 are not equal. So mu1 not equal to mu2. The next, level of significance, LOS, level of significance, it is not mentioned in the question. So already I told level of significance. If any level is mentioned, we have to find the particular level. Level means we have two levels, 5% level and 1% level. Okay, if it is mentioned 1%, we must find the 1% level, level of significance. Otherwise it is not mentioned in the question. That means in this problem the level of significance is not mentioned, so we consider the level is 5%. Okay, usually we use 5% level of significance. So LOS, level of significance, LOS alpha is equal to 0.05. 5% means 0.05. The next, degrees of freedom. So degrees of freedom means number of items minus 1. Actually that is in the single means. So here we have two sample means, two sample sizes. So number of items n1 plus n2 minus 2. So the degrees of freedom is n1 plus n2 minus 2. That is n1 16 plus n2 12 minus 2, that is 26. The next, table value. Table value means, so t test at 5% level of significance with the degrees of freedom alpha. That means t test at 5% level with the degrees of freedom alpha. The value is 2.056. That is from the textbook. We have the table values in the last pages. T test, F test, chi-square test and Z test. Now this is t test. If it is not mentioned in the question level of significance, we usually choose 5% level. We usually take 5% level. Now in this question it is not mentioned the level of significance, so we can take alpha is equal to, that means level of significance 5%. The next, degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom means number of items minus 1. Number of items minus 1. That means n is equal to 10. 10 minus 1. So degrees of freedom is 9. The next, table value. Table value t at 5% level with the degrees of freedom 9 is equal to 2.262. Actually table value, all the table values are given in the textbook, the last page of textbook. So now t table at 1% level and 5% level. T table, one tail, two tail, and one tail means we have left tail and right tail, that already seen. Two tail, so 5% and 1%. Now the degrees of freedom is 9. Now the degrees of freedom is 9. That is n minus 1. So the value is 2.262. The degrees of freedom 9 is 2.262. Okay. So table value. The next calculation part, that means test statistic t. Test statistic t is equal to, the formula is x bar minus mu the whole divided by s by root n minus 1. X bar value is given, mu value we know, s value, s means standard deviation. The next, root of n minus 1. So all the values are known. Now substitute all the values and simplify. We get 3.15. T value is 3.15. The next, finally, we will see the conclusion. We have two conclusions. If calculated value less than table value means we accept H naught. If calculated value greater than table value means reject H naught. Okay. Now in this problem the conclusion is calculated value, that means t value 3.15 is greater than the table value. Table value is 2.262. So 3.15 greater than 2.262. That is calculated value is greater than table value. So we reject H naught. That means we are rejecting the H naught. H naught means null hypothesis. What is meant by null hypothesis? That is, there is no difference between the sample mean as well as the population mean. That means the machinist is making engine parts with a mean diameter 0.7 and we are taking 10 samples from the engine parts. That parts mean is 0.742. Now our conclusion is calculated value is greater than table value means we are rejecting H0. That means automatically we are accepting H1. That is, the conclusion is there is something difference between the population sample and sample mean and population means. That is, the engine parts 10 sample parts sample mean and the total engine parts sample means are different. There is something difference between the population mean and the sample mean. Therefore, the product is not conforming the specification. So, this is the conclusion. Okay. Thank you, students. Good morning, students. Now we are going to see a problem which based on t-test single mean. The problem is a machinist is making engine parts with axle diameters of 0.7 inch. A random sample of 10 parts shows a mean diameter of 0.742 inch with a standard deviation of 0.04 inch. Compute the statistic you would use to test whether the work is meeting the specification. That means a machinist is making engine parts, any engine parts with axle diameters of 0.7 inch. That means total engine parts diameter 0.7 inch. We are taking a random sample of 10 parts. Total parts made by the machinist. We are taking 10 random samples. That means 10 parts. So, sample size 10 which shows a mean diameter mean. That means sample mean 0.742 with the standard deviation. That means again the sample standard deviation, not the total parts making by the machinist. We are taking 10 samples and 10 sample parts mean and standard deviation. Compute the statistic you would use to test whether the work is meeting the specification. That means whether the total machine engine parts and the sample 10 machine engine parts are same or not, the quality. So, solution given n is equal to 10. That means sample size n is equal to 10. So, we already seen n less than 30. N less than 30 means small samples, and n greater than 30 means large samples. N greater than 30 means large samples. In the small samples, we have t-test. First topic is t-test. The next f-test, chi-square test. And for large samples n greater than 30, the test name is z-test. Okay. Now, n is equal to 10. That means less than 30. So, small samples. And x bar is equal to 0.742. X bar means sample mean. Sample mean is 0.742. Now, this problem comes under t-test. Then how can you identify the problem is t-test or f-test? Means t-test means we are dealing with mean. That means there is a difference between the sample means or population means. Okay, f-test variance, sample variance or population variance, like that. Now, t-test means sample means we are dealing with the means, sample means or population means. So, n is equal to 10, x bar is equal to 0.742. Now, the standard deviation, yes, standard deviation of the sample parts. S is equal to or sigma is equal to 0.04 and mu, now mu is 0.7. Mu means population mean. Okay, mu means population mean. X bar means sample mean. That means the machinist is making the engine parts of diameter with diameter of 0.7 inch. This is the population mean with the axle diameter. population mean mu is equal to 0.7, sample mean x bar 0.742. Now let us see the procedure. So first we have null hypothesis, the next alternative hypothesis, level of significance, degrees of freedom, then table value, then test statistic, last one conclusion. So now first step, null hypothesis. So null hypothesis, the symbol is H naught. Null hypothesis means there is no difference between the sample mean and population means. That means population means total engine parts makes by the machinist. Sample means we are taking the 10 samples from the total engine parts. So null hypothesis H naught. There is no difference between the sample mean and population mean. That means x bar is same as mu. X bar sample mean, mu population mean. That means 0.7. And alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis means it is denoted by the symbol H1. And alternative hypothesis means it is directly opposite to null hypothesis. The complementary of H naught is H1. Alternative hypothesis means there is something difference between the sample mean and the population means. That means both are not equal. Maybe it is less than or greater than. Anyway, the sample mean and population means are not equal. The next level of significance alpha. Level of significance alpha, that is equal to 5%. Level of significance alpha 5%. That means it is not mentioned in the question. Sometimes it if it is mentioned 5% level or 1% level, we must use the mentioned LOS, that means level of significance. Actually we have two levels, 5% and 1% and the level of significance. 5% means it is 0.05 or 1% is 0.01. If it is not mentioned in the question level of significance, we usually choose 5% level. We usually take 5% level. Now in this question it is not mentioned the level of significance, so we can take alpha is equal to, that means level of significance 5%. The next, degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom means number of items minus 1. Number of items minus 2, the 12 minus 2, that is 26. The next, table value. Table value means, so t test at 5% level of significance with the degrees of freedom alpha. That means t test at 5% level with the degrees of freedom alpha. The value is 2.056. That is from the textbook. We have the table values in the last pages. T test, F test, chi-square test and Z test. Now this is t test. So t test, in the top side we have the level of significance alpha 1%, 5%, 2% or 3%, like that. So in the side we have the degrees. V means the degrees 1 to 3 up to 29. The next infinity. Okay, so now the level of significance is 5% and the degrees of freedom is 26. That means n1 plus n2 minus 2. The degrees of freedom is 26. So the value is, from the textbook, the value is 2.056. This is the value for degrees of freedom 26 at level of significance 5%. So the value is 2.056. The next calculation part, that means t test calculation. Already we see the formula. T is equal to x1 bar minus x2 bar by x1 bar minus x2 bar the whole divided by square root of s square into 1 by n1 plus 1 by n2. So now substitute all the values. X1 bar and x2 bar values is given in the question itself. So x1 bar value is 23.4 minus x2 bar value is 24.9, the whole divided by square root of s square. So s square already we have found the value. S square is 7.4646. So now substitute here root of s square value into 1 by n1 plus 1 by n2. Now the calculation part. simplify, we get the answer, and the answer is negative. T is equal to minus 1.4376. So we have to find the absolute value of T. Absolute value of T, that is modulus T. So modulus of negative value, that means absolute value of negative value is always positive. So modulus minus 1.4376 is positive, that means 1.4376. Now the conclusion: if the calculated value is less than table value, means we accept H naught. We accept H naught means there is no difference between the two population means or the two sample means. If there is, that means calculated value is greater than table value. Calculated value is greater than table value means we reject H naught. That means H naught rejected means automatically H1 accepted. Now let us see the conclusion. So conclusion, here the conclusion is calculated value is less than table value. So calculated value is 1.4376 and the table value is 2.056. So the calculated value is the smallest of table. So calculated value is less than table value means we accept H naught. So H naught means there is no difference between the population means, or there is no difference between the sample means. So this is the problem, and the conclusion is we accept H naught. Okay, thank you students.